Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to looking at my reaction to another Pomme song. Pomme is a French singer, a young lady full of talent, and she came to my attention with the Aurora duet, and I think she came to world attention when she did the duet with Aurora, and it did very well for the two of them. Congratulations. But this particular song is a live version of Images that I wanted and I was interested in finding out more about. I read the lyrics and said, got to react to that. So this is the song I've chosen. It is the live version. The video seems very emotive, but I just felt when it comes to Pomme singing live and singing on the piano, it's a different aspect to the musicality of her persona because she does play a lot of instruments. So that intrigued me, and that's why I'm playing the live version. Let's take a listen. As always, I've got the lyrics in front of me. First time listening, everyone, and I'll give you my interpretation straight after. But not until we heard the soothing, beautiful vocals of this French starlet that just seems to be like one of the bright lights in the studio, like a glittering star up in the sky. Hence why my frame is full of bright lights, because that's what she is like. When you listen, you have to stop what you're doing, calm down, and just relax, because she has that magnetic voice that draws you in. Take a listen and you'll understand what I mean.
Dans le jardin de mon enfance, entre les arbres et la violence, j'ai retrouvé ce qui calmait mon cœur, les fraises, l'odeur des vacances. Entre les drames et l'insouciance, les escaliers qui supportaient mes peurs. Pourquoi j'y pense encore? Y'a quoi de mieux avant? À part les rires en farandole, à part l'été qui me console, qu'est-ce qui me manque tant? Pourquoi j'y pense encore autant? Y'a quoi de mieux avant? Sur les toits du sud de la France, quand le vent et l'eau se mélangent, là sur les lèvres de ceux qui parlent fort, leur voix, leur loi me dérange. Il revient toujours ce même goût de rance, du temps des rêves qui jouaient avec la mort. Pourquoi j'y pense encore? Y'a quoi de mieux avant? À part les rires en farandole, à part l'été qui me console, qu'est-ce qui me manque tant? Pourquoi j'y pense encore autant? Y'a quoi de mieux avant? Je me souviens de toi, je me souviens de toi, je me souviens de toi, je me souviens.
I don't want to detract any, get anybody looking at different things.
Carrie is waiting for you. Let's go.
So that was Pomme and Jardin, and you can understand why I wanted to listen to her live playing the piano. It's effortless on her part, but breathless on our part when we're listening, because we're listening to something extraordinarily special and gifted. And for that, I'm eternally grateful for being a music reactor, because coming across her and her music has been an evolution in itself of how when people disparage or are disparaged by the music industry, and I constantly say it in most of my videos, and when they recklessly say stupid things like it's finished, and people always go back to the 90s and 80s, I say look beyond your two front eyes, look beyond them, start looking into music in different countries. And that's why I enjoy my channel so much, because young artists like Pomme shine brightly, like I said in the beginning, like a bright star, and you can actually feel why when you've listened to that performance. I'm sure you did. For those people who are still intrigued by her, and whom is this artist, she is somebody I'm going to give you the tiniest bit of bio about, just for you, just so you appreciate her a bit more. She's a French singer-songwriter, musician, born and raised in Lyon. She learned to play several instruments at a young age. This is the second one I've heard her now play. And her debut studio album, Près, 2017, received critical acclaim for its mixture of pop and folk music, and entered the French album charts at number 91. Pomme followed with a second studio album, Les Filets, which in 2019 became her first project to reach the top 10 in her home country. The record was later reissued with Les Filets, Cachées 2020, and re-entered the record charts in 2 other countries. Her third studio album, which Jardin is taken from, it's the second track of it, is called Consolation, and that was released in August of this year. So if you haven't added it or downloaded it to your collection, I think after that performance you would be foolish not to. I always say, if you don't understand French, where words fail, Pomme's music will carry you through. Let's get to the lyrics itself now, and then we can sit back and just savor the fact that you've heard something really special today, and that's what my channel's about as well. Verse 1, it says, "In the garden of my childhood, between the trees and the violets, I found again what used to calm my heart, strawberries, the smell of holidays, between the tragedies and the carefreeness, the stairs that supported my fears." So there she is, going back to telling us of her childhood, and it talks about the trees and the violence. And violence doesn't have to be between parents, and it doesn't have to be, it could be violence as in other ways, like, I don't know, like bullying at school, and upsets being, maybe she lived in a remote place and she had lots of thoughts in her head, and they were battling with what she wanted to do and how she wanted to occupy her time. And I think it's more or less to do with that. I think she had a battle inside her head and her heart of what she wanted to do and how could she express herself. Because she said, "I found again what used to calm my heart." And then she goes on to talk about strawberries, the smell of holidays, in other words, memories. So between the upsets and the carefreeness of getting through every day in life and doing your routine, the stairs that supported my fears. Maybe she had fears of writing or fears of songwriting or playing music, and there was no outlet to express her creativity. But the stairs that supported her was the fact that she had memories that she could write about lyrically. So the chorus says, "Why do I still think about it? What's better before?" So she quizzes herself about her past. What was so good about my past that I feel like a void in my life now? And it continues, apart from the laughters in array and apart from the summer that consoles me. So the summer that consoles her was, did she spend her summers in a second home in the countryside where she had her grandmother, grandfather, relatives? Was it memories of that, like picking the strawberries in the fields, out in the garden, the wild strawberries? And it was all about away from the city, away from her home, being in this other home and environment, more with nature. There was a lot more laughter and there was a lot less stress. So she said, so she continues, sorry. Apart from the summer that consoles me, what do I miss so much? Why do I think about it that much? What's better than before? And you do think that. If I was to be honest and I said to you, I think a lot about my childhood, and my happiest time in my childhood was being in England, in the home that we were, in the street that we was, because we had a lot of other Irish families that lived there, and we all played together and interacted, and we did things that today's youth would find so ancient and so alien, because everyone's into social media now and games. We used to make up games, and we used to do go-karting, and the girls did hopscotch, and there was skipping, and there was a lot more just football in the park and skateboarding, and there was just a lot more fun and physical activities. So I can understand why she goes back. But why does it? And you do wonder why. Like, what is it at my point in life that I still look back and think that was the happiest time? Did I do something wrong in between? You just quiz it at some point. And the chorus says, continues that train of thought. Why do I still think about it? What's better before? Apart from the laughters in array, apart from the summer that consoles me, why do I miss it? Why do I think about it that much? What's better before? So the summary is in verse 2. And I'm going to mention these lyrics in my thumbnail because I think they are the important part of this song. On the rooftops of southern France, when the wind and the water mix up, there on the lips of those who speak loud, their voices, their rules bother me. It always comes back the same rancid taste. Like, rancid taste would be that bitterness in your mouth. And people often refer to that in English or in your own language, French, Italian, whatever it may be. There's an old saying our grandparents, our parents used to say, oh, every time I talk about that person, I get bitter words that come out of my mouth, and it leaves a bitterness, behind. So it continues, it always comes back, that rancid taste, of the times of dreams that used to play with death. So let's go to the rooftops of southern France. Let's analyze this. When the wind and the water mix up. I'm a writer, and that is my other profession as well as being a music reactor. And I've wrote a trilogy of books. And one of the things I do to remember from my books is writing about the voices in the wind. Because when I was younger and I listened to the wind, a lot of people are frightened by the wind. Even as adults, when they walk home from work, when they walk home from school, when they leave a friend's house, if they're walking outside in the environment and they hear the wind, even if the streets are lit up with lights, the sound of the wind chills them and haunts them. It gives them, there's like a dark element to it. And because Pomme mentions here their voices, their rules bothered me in the city. So even in the wind, did she feel she heard voices? Like those voices of authority, those you have to live by the rule, you have to go to school and live by rules, and there's no sense of freedom, and you can't live your life the way you want because rules and regulations and people's beliefs are forced upon you, down your throat almost. That leaves that bitterness because your anger makes you swear, and that's the bitterness, that's the reaction that happens when you're forced by society to live a life you don't want to live. Because as she summarizes here of the times and the dreams that used to play with death, in other words, in the city she felt dead, but in the countryside she felt alive, picking the strawberries, the sound of laughter, the sound of nature, all of it. The chorus says, why do I still think about it? You do because because your nature, your personality doesn't fit the environment you're in. That's why. My personality, my environment fitted my childhood perfectly. I was very outgoing, very hyper, so there's lots of friends, lots of activities, physical activities to do. It kept me calm. And then you do ask yourself what's better before, as it says here. Apart from the laughters in the ray, apart from the summers, why do I miss it so much? I can answer that. You miss it so much, and everybody else misses so much, is because when you're young, the world seems so innocent to you. The world is yet to be explored. Nobody's harming you. Most people live a childhood of no harm, even though we hear of lots of other situations. But if you're one of the fortunate ones like myself that had a good, solid childhood, you were innocent and everything seemed, there was no rules. You could play for as many hours as you like. Like 1 hour to a child is like 3 hours. 1 hour to an adult is like 3 hours to a child. The days were long, you played into the evening, everything was safe. And everybody went to bed and woke up the following day, went to school, energized and felt good, played with your friends. And it was a continuously innocent cycle where you were not affected by rules. That's why. But when you grow up, you do start reflecting on that sense of freedom and how constraining your life is because of going to work, the rules of the boss, the rules of the workplace. Going to school, you had to go through 5 years of teachers telling you what to do. There's rules and regulations. Everything is surrounded by rules when you grow up and realize the world you're living in. It's almost like a dictatorship to some people. You can either handle rules or cannot. I'm one of the people that cannot. So you always reflect and go back. And what's better before, and I can answer that as well, is the fact that your soul was free. You felt alive. And the outro, I remember everything, I remember everything, I remember everything, I remember. And I will summarize the song and on those very few lines. The reason we carry our memories to our death is for one or two reasons. We all come into this world crying. Think about this. And we all leave the world crying. Because everyone wants that perfect happiness, that perfect life, that perfect relationship, that perfect harmony. And what they experience as adults is that nothing is ever perfect. So unfortunately, we all leave the world crying. Because we never got that innocent, perfect world we once had as a child to continue like it as an adult. And that's my summary of the song. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. And thank you for listening to the beautiful voice of today's guest, Pomme from France. All her musical links in with the video, so don't forget to follow her.